What's up, guys? Higgins in Japan here with another edition of the Friday video. The Friday video is the video that I make right here in my car on the way home from work on a Friday, and it's been a while since I have made an actual video. If you are new to the channel, welcome. On Fridays, what I like to do is I like to make a video about 10-15 minutes long, depending on how long it takes me to drive home from work, and talk about what it's like being a teacher in Japan. So if you have any interest in being a teacher in Japan, or you know anybody that has an interest in being a teacher in Japan, this video is for you. If you're one of my students watching this video, you have no idea what I'm saying, because according to my students, my videos sound like blah 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 Japan blah 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 blah, according to a couple students yesterday. So congratulations if you're watching this and you're one of my students and you have no idea what I'm saying. That being said, it is the holiday season. As you can tell, here in Japan, we're getting ready to celebrate Thanksgiving, because Thanksgiving is totally celebrated in Japan. That being a joke, if you are new to the channel, sometimes I like to joke. But one thing I need to get out of the way before I start talking about today's topic, and that is, if you are at all interested in supporting my channel, no, I don't have a Patreon, but I do have a couple of dumb t-shirts on Teespring, and I will put a link to I will put a link to those t-shirts on Teespring in the description. And just because it's the holidays and I'm feeling so generous, now until, I don't know, the end of the year, maybe, or until I forget that I've turned it on, there will be 20% off anything that you buy in the store. Just type in Friday vid, all one word, or if I can manage to do the link will just automatically do it. And so I have a couple of shirts on Teespring if you're interested. If you're not, it's not a big deal. I don't care. It's not like, listen, I'm an English teacher. I got a job. I have a car. I have health insurance. I don't need extra money. I'm doing it because it's a joke, right? Because everybody has a t-shirt, right? The next thing I'm going to do is a Patreon, because everybody has a Patreon. Actually, I'm not, because that's too much work. So, enough chit-chat. Let's get down to business. And talk about what I wanted to talk about in the first place. And that was a question that I don't think that I've actually answered. And I have gotten questions about this from family members, from people that find out, oh, you live in Japan and you're an English teacher. Usually the first question is, do you have to be able to speak Japanese to be an English teacher? The short answer is no. You're teaching English, right? Why would you need to learn, or why would you need to know Japanese? You're teaching English. So short answer is no, of course not. You're teaching English. You're supposed to be teaching the majority of your class in English, because you're there to model the language to your students, right? So it only makes sense that you would want to be able to speak English. Long answer though, and this is coming from my experience, because it's coming up on me being in Japan for 7 years, and I can tell you, when I first moved to Japan, my Japanese was terrible. Like, it's bad now, and it would be better if I actually used the workbooks and the help that I have, if I took advantage of things like that, or even went to the classes that are offered here in my town for a very, very ridiculously cheap price, if not free. So those things are available, just in case you were wondering. But yeah, to be an English teacher in Japan, you don't have to be able to speak English or speak Japanese. Now, I will say, coming from my experience of being here, like, you are going to want to learn Japanese before you get here. And in hindsight being what it is, I really wish that I would have studied and practiced more Japanese before I got here, because the thing that happens in Japan is you're going to get put, for example, me, I was put in a school of 90 students in the middle of nowhere. a very small town. I think there were only 30,000 people in the town. My school was surrounded by rice fields. It was as country as you could get. Yeah, I could get places, get bigger to a bigger city, and there was things to do. But for the most part, there weren't, there weren't other foreigners in town other than the other English teachers that I could really see on a regular basis. And so you kind of have to learn on your feet if you don't know the language, right? You kind of have to just start picking up stuff where you can. And at that time, I was taking some classes, and so, I was learning a little bit at the time. But I would have greatly benefited from being able to have spoken Japanese before I got here. Because the school that I was in had probably 2 English speakers in it, one of which happened to be one of the teachers. He was a former junior high teacher who was then teaching elementary school, who then became like the head teacher. And then the other was the lady that did my schedule for, what classes I was going to be teaching. And so I was fortunate that those people spoke English. Nobody else in the school did. And so it was very much me just sitting at my desk and not talking to anybody. And, then we would go out for dinner or Ankai or whatever, and it was just, the teachers would talk to me, but, you kind of limit your relationships, and you limit the amount of interactions that you can have with other teachers. Now, if you get put in a junior high, you have a better chance of more teachers speaking English, because English is an actual graded subject in junior high. You've got people there that are going to be, your English teachers, and so you're going to be working with them, and they're going to speak English, but you never really know what their level is going to be. And so, and then there's the principal and the vice principal and other teachers in the staff room. The nurse or the secretary, you don't know what their level is. And so if you want to communicate with those people, you either have to do one of two things. You either have to be able to speak Japanese, or you just have to be able to go, okay, and pretend like you know what they're saying or what they're asking of you. And so in hindsight, I wish that I would have studied Japanese before I got here. It would have greatly benefited me. And then, continually practicing, continuing to work on, studying Japanese while you're here as well. So short answer, no, you don't have to be able to speak Japanese to be an English teacher. But if you want to have meaningful relationships with other people outside of work, or meaningful relationships with just the people you work with, or just to be able to, have daily conversations with people beyond saying good morning and I'm leaving, then, yes, you do need to be able to speak Japanese. And like I alluded to earlier, if you move to Japan, like the first town that I lived in offered Japanese courses throughout the week and on weekends. They were 250 yen, so about $2 for a 2-hour lesson. And you can't beat that. Like, you're not gonna beat that. So if you are already here, or you're on the way here and you're worried like, oh man, I haven't been studying Japanese. Yeah, you can study. Oh, I hit the brakes a little bit too hard there. Yeah, you can study Japanese while you're here. And there will be places, check with City Hall. The town that I live in now, it's a big town, Utsunomiya, over 500,000 people. They have multiple times during the week that you can go study Japanese. If you work nights, say you work in an eikaiwa, they have stuff in the mornings. If you work in the mornings, they have stuff at night. If you work, they have all kinds of different lessons. And so check that out and take advantage of it. I would highly suggest studying Japanese before you come to Japan. It's going to make your life a lot simpler. Part of the adventure is learning the language while you're here and being fully immersed in it, and looking at a sign and going, oh, that's what that says, because you've already studied it, or you're learning it, or seeing things around you in your environment that can help you with the learning process. But short answer, no. Long answer, yeah, probably. It'll make your life a little bit easier while you're here in Japan. So that's going to do it for this edition of the Friday video with me, Higgins in Japan. If you have any questions or comments about life in Japan, head over to facebook.com/Higgins in Japan. I'm going to see how many times I can say Higgins in Japan at the end of this video. And maybe I will drive myself insane. But that's going to do it. And thanks for watching. Thanks for heading over to facebook.com/Higgins in Japan. And I will catch you guys later on another video. Have a good one. And yeah, be nice to people. I don't know, there's no way to, I should have just said peace and just ended this video. What are you gonna do? Peace.